Did I get back into the BJD hobby in 2020 like I planned? No. This is where I used to film. I moved out of my room last year, which was one of the good things, the few good things that happened in 2020. But I think we can all agree that 2020 wasn't the best year, and it left many people, including me, in a bit of a creative rut. Did I get back into the BJD hobby in 2020 like I planned? No. But I did feel very inspired to come back to YouTube and do something. So I thought, why not try and tackle this with a slightly different format than what I'm used to? Because in all my previous videos, or in most of my previous videos, I would sit over there in the opposite wall in front of my cabinet and just talk about whatever, or in front of my door and just talk about whatever came to mind about BJDs or what I was currently doing with BJDs. And that was fine for a while, that was cool. But now, since I'm obviously not doing that much with them anymore, I don't feel like I have anything to talk about. So why not try something different? I currently have the week off, and I thought I'd try and tackle my list of projects that I've accumulated over the years and try to finally scratch some things off the list. Because we are currently still in lockdown, there's not really much else to do. There's not really a bunch of different options or huge events to go to or really anything really to do. So I thought, why not try be creative for a week and get stuff done? And in connection with the whole I want to get back into YouTube thing, I thought I'd just film a bunch of it and take you guys along for the ride. I don't know if this will be a recurring series or not. I guess that depends. I guess the goal of this video is just to have a casual collection of clips from different things that I did in the week, and maybe it will inspire some of you or motivate some of you to also get creative and work your way through your lists because lists have a tendency to multiply for some reason. And yeah, let's get cracking. My goals for this week were to finish a face-up commission I had lying around, practice a bunch of music, and do some sewing. With that said, I made sure to get some gratuitous kitty cuddles in, and also managed to pick up this awesome hat that I ordered from the customs office. It's not just the dolls that get stuck there, that's for sure. But I simply couldn't resist the awesomeness that is this absolutely suitable for casual everyday errands hat, as you can see. But I digress. The next day I started on my list of to-dos. For this commission, I'm working on a USD-sized head and an SD-sized head, both with very different and unique style requirements. And this is the other head. Bottom lashes are now in place. Okay, so I've just done lower lashes and I'm moving on to some more eyeshadow and building up the eyebrow shapes. It's really hard if you have a USD head. You can't use the same lashes that you'd paint on an SD head for a USD head because they're huge on a USD head, and it's really difficult sometimes to get that taper just right at the end. And I don't know if many people realize this, but if you put something on a head, like paint, you can't take it off again. Well, you can, but it's really difficult. So when you put something down, you have to be sure that you're exactly right. I'd say the spectrum of tolerance for removing mistakes is very, very slim. And you have to know exactly what you're doing. And it's so hard because sometimes in a commission you'll do something, like you'll take creative liberty with something, or you'll think of something, you'll put it down and you make it really nice, and then the customer's like, you know, I don't really like that, I want to have that, you know, but differently. Then you're kind of faced with a difficult decision, because either you work around it and try to incorporate what the customer wants and try to tweak what you've done so that it fits what the customer wants, or you have to start all over again, if it's not possible. And this of course depends entirely on the customer and the head and what changes we're talking about. But these things happen. The face-up process is very productive and very build-up. It's not so much troubleshooting, tweak this, remove that, work around it. Sometimes in a face-up process you feel like the only way is forward and there's no backtracking. And it's disheartening when you do have to make that decision and like scrap everything and start over, because you literally have made no progress. You've just eliminated all the progress you've made. Like, of course you could argue like, oh, the progress is in the experience you've gained and all that, but on paper you haven't moved forward. You still have all that work ahead of you. Again. Yeah. Luckily, this commission was very easygoing and nothing of the sort happened. I got a good leg of work in that day, but there was still more to be done on the next day. Today I worked on darkening the shadows, creating the right lip shape, and making sure the colour scheme was coherent. Because at this point you can really see where the face-up is going, and it's vital that the colours look like they're working together instead of against each other, if that makes sense. Then it was time for me to take a break, get some practice in, and go outside to savour the sunlight. So I'm done working for today. Decided to go outside for a hoop, and it's almost 20 degrees, which is really, really nice. But I'm noticing I do really rely on my basic fundamental tricks, and I keep doing the same thing over and over. So yeah, maybe it's time to learn a few new tricks. And as for the rest of today, I'm gonna try to stay hydrated. After some much needed light physical activity, I decided to call it a day. So after wrapping everything up with the owner, I was able to finish the heads today. As you can see here, I'm applying gloss to the lips and the tear ducts. If I don't need to install any eyelashes, this is usually the last step, the very, very last step of the whole face-up process. And then the most satisfying thing to me after finishing a face-up is clearing up my desk once everything is done. A clean desk always inspires me to think about what I want to create next. It sounds cheesy, I know, but it really helps putting a lid on a project and really giving me the feeling of being done with something. Today I set up my camera to take pictures of the heads for my face-up portfolio over on Flickr. If you want to check it out, the link will be in the description box below. I gave them some eyes from my personal collection and just put them on a sheet of white paper, used a reflective surface to make sure the face was well lit, and fired away using my macro lens. This whole process is pretty time consuming and it took me almost the whole afternoon to get all the pictures I need. So it's been a pretty good week and we've gotten a lot done. And I still have the whole weekend in front of me. So let's see, today I have to edit the pictures I took yesterday. And I've got a music lesson, which should be fun. And then I'm going to try and sew something this weekend still. Anything. I don't care how big or small it is, I just want to sew something. I take pictures in RAW format, so I use Adobe Photoshop CC to edit all the pictures. And I only really do a few minor things. I crop the picture, I add my watermark, and then I adjust the color balance and maybe the saturation. But that's it, I don't do any more editing because I want the picture, the end result, to look as close to the real thing as possible. Here are some of the final best ones that I took, and overall I was pretty happy with the result. After I had my digital music lesson, I couldn't really find the motivation to tackle a sewing project, so I just enjoyed the rest of my Saturday doing things that are relaxing and do not require much cognitive effort. Because the weather was so good the next day, I decided to go for another hooping session, and I got a pretty good flow going. Then I finally pushed myself to actually start a new sewing project, and I thought I'd try to upcycle this dress that I got at the thrift store ages ago. Haven't worn it once, which means I have to make some changes to it so that it will spark joy again. I started by removing the buttons on the cuffs of the sleeves and replacing them with little strips of Velcro. Because I don't like buttons, I don't like the way they feel, and I just thought Velcro would be a neat alternative. And that was all I got done that week. But even though it was back to reality on Monday, I did find time after work every other day to keep working on the dress. The next thing I did was arrange some pieces of lace around the cuffs to make them more visually appealing. Once I liked the arrangement, I sewed them in place one strip at a time, and repeated the pattern on the other sleeve too. The days were really flying by and I was kind of busy, so I'm not entirely sure when I did the next step, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I decided to film my setup for digital uni. Don't you think it's fancy? Anyway, now I moved on to the midriff of the dress. And here I chose to add a few pieces of silver hardware that I had lying around, and they were previously from a velvet choker, and they were then held together by this ribbon in the middle. I measured where I wanted it to sit, and then once I got that attached, of course being careful not to sew the whole dress shut in the process, I then added one more piece of lace all around the waist to tie everything together visually. And then I was done! Definitely have to work on my presentation skills, but I really enjoyed this process and I'm happy with the outcome. The ribbon in the front can actually function as an extra cinch, so that's cool. And yeah, glad I took the time and effort to do this, even though I did have some hiccups along the way. Like in the beginning when I sewed on a piece of grey lace that just didn't look right. Looking at it, nope, it's not for me. But we managed to pull it together. Overall, I was productive. Not everything worked out as planned, but I did get everything done, even though it did take longer than a week. But I did finish the face-ups, I did my music, and I did sew something. By the way, sorry for the weird camera blur in this video, I don't know what's causing that. Let me soothe you with some more kitty footage, and if you like this video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe if you'd like to stick around, fare thee well, and remember, you can't cancel creativity, so stay safe and stay sane out there, and I'll see you all next time.